So I showed you at the beginning how somebody can just, obviously fill out the form on my homepage to get into the course. One of the things that I wanted to make sure happened was there were other ways to get in. So maybe an exit pop-up if you're leaving the homepage and you haven't done anything, or maybe something on a blog post if you're going to read it, or a dedicated landing page so I could do some advertising around it. This actually turned out to be one of the biggest hassles of this whole project, was just to figure out the best way to put a form in front of people. And I don't even know that I found the best way, but I didn't want to add more elements to my technology stack. I didn't want to connect 14 different tools. So there's a real opportunity for disruption here. The biggest pain for me was that Drip does not, in their own forms that they have as part of their process, they don't have drop-down forms or drop-down selectors as an option. And coding that into a pop-up that behaved the way I wanted it to was just turning out to be a hassle. So I ended up using Typeform, which is a tool that I've used a lot, and so it was already in my technology stack, and so I didn't need to add something new. And at this point in the project, that became important to me. I think I'll continue to innovate around this, but let me show you a little bit about using Typeform. Here inside of Typeform, I've got my form, and there's really nothing too crazy going on here. But this connects to Drip using Zapier. And so with Zapier, I am looking for new entries in that MMM landing page form that I've created inside of Typeform. And then I'm updating my subscriber, creating or updating a subscriber inside of Drip. So I've got multiple things going on here, and there's another layer I'm about to show you. But I fill out a Typeform, which connects to Zapier, which talks to Drip, which lets me start my course. I love Leadpages. They happen to be the same company that runs Drip, and so there's a really nice, elegant integration between the two that I'm not necessarily using for this project, but in general I really love. And it solves problems for me. It's easy to use. I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Time is really a premium for me, so I like to use Leadpages when I can. And Leadboxes as well when I can. So in this case, what I wanted was some of the functionality that Leadboxes provide. But one of the things that can happen inside of a Leadbox is you've got multiple ways that you can generate the Leadbox. So in my case, I'm using a timed pop-up. I'll set that to like 20 seconds or 30 seconds. I'd love it for there to be a scrolling function. When it's scrolled 50% down the page. Hopefully these are innovations that the Leadpages team is working on. There are other tools out there that let me do that, but integrating the form into it in a way that made sense was turning out to be a huge hassle. So again, it's something I'll continue to innovate around, but really pleased with the Leadbox team and with the Leadpages team and the work that they've done around this to help me kind of figure out how to put it through its paces for my use. So what I did with this Leadbox, and I'm not going to teach you anything about Leadboxes or how to use it, but I stripped everything out and made it just one big sort of HTML container. And then inside of Typeform, I took the HTML code that they provide for me and I embedded it into here. So then when I can preview the Leadbox, I'm really just using the Leadbox as a container for the Typeform. And so that container is then inside of a plugin on my website that I can tell to, pop up or on exit, or if I want to create a button. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to do it this way is it gives me that flexibility. If I want to create a button later and put it maybe on the sidebar of a blog post, I can do that. And I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. I just kind of go in and do a couple things with Leadboxes and it's ready to go. So it's convenient for me to embed Typeform into Leadbox and then let Leadbox be the container for the behavior that I'm looking for. I'm hoping for some innovation around that in the future, but see, it also plays nice on mobile. And some of the solutions I was working with or trying to roll in my own, I was just having to fight too hard with it, and it was driving me nuts. When you visit my website, there are all these little micro experiences, like this little rocket, my little logo rocket dude flies by. Maybe you'll catch him, maybe you won't, at certain times. And I have what I call the 5 gears of the modern marketing engine. And here, if I launch an area where you can learn more about, in this case, marketing identity, those gears are turning with some CSS animations. Down here near my footer, I've got a real subtle gradient animation happening right behind this logo, which I think it's kind of fun. So they're subtle, they're not, over animated, but they're part of, I think, my brand a little bit. I spend sometimes too much time on stuff like this, but I pay a lot of attention to detail. I like bringing in some fun and some whimsy, and some imagination into my work. So I wanted to build a landing page so I could do some marketing for this, whatever kind of online marketing I want to do that isn't necessarily connected to going to my homepage. And so I thought about rolling my own for that, but I wanted to use Leadpages. And there's a few reasons why I wanted to use Leadpages. One is, again, very easy to use from the same team that designs Leadboxes, drag and drop, make a lot of functionality kind of easy and ready baked. I don't have to think a lot about, compatibility with devices and things like that. There's also a really nice integration, as I pointed out, with Drip and with some other tools. A lot of integrations that, while I'm not taking advantage of them now, as I said, I hope some future innovation will happen so that is something that I'll continue to kind of keep my eye on. The fact that Leadpages does not, just like with Leadboxes, I can't put a selector item in a form. So I can't have that drop down so a person could choose their persona of marketing pro, sales pro, or executive. That was another huge hassle for me. And so what I did was just what I did with the Leadbox. I just imported my exported Typeform code. And so like here, this is a huge HTML widget. It's not actually huge in the experience, it's just a tiny button. But I kind of stripped out all of the forms or the native forms that Leadboxes would encourage me to use, and I am using HTML code instead. This is what this looks like then. And you can see I've got this animated SVG of my logo. That's kind of cool. And as I slide down, I've got different aspects. And if I just click the button, get instant access now, then I am looking at my Typeform form. One of the things I wanted to do with this landing page was some unique things. So I pointed out some of those micro experiences, and I wanted to bring some of those into this so that if you spend time on my website and you come here, the relationship will be clear. But even if you don't, you'll think to yourself, oh, I don't see that every day, because at this point we've all seen 16 gazillion landing pages, and I'm hoping to, do something just a little different. So back in Leadpages, if I just go in here to my page styles and turn on my custom CSS, you see I've got a whole mess of CSS here. Let me show you what that looks like with that turned on. So here is the Leadpages now with my CSS. So you see I have my SVG rocket, but I've now got this color change happening behind this video, which is, I think, interesting, but it's subtle. It's not hitting you over the head. But if you spend time with the video, you're obviously going to see this color transformation. And my hope is somebody will say, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. That's unique. And, that's half the battle sometimes in marketing. And if I slide down here a little bit further, there my gear is turning, just like on my website. And I talk about the 5 gears, and I'll be introducing and talking about the 5 gears inside of this course. So that's got some relevance to it. And then down here, as I get into the lessons, I've got some animation, some CSS. I'm not sure. That might be a little much. I don't know. If you have an opinion, I'd love to know it. But I just wanted to bring some different things into the landing page that maybe people don't see every day, and that would enchant them a little bit and delight them a little bit. I think delight is a key to developing a loyal relationship with your audience. So those are some things that I'm doing on the landing page that I was excited about. They were fun for me to put together, and were kind of the last part of this whole puzzle, piecing everything together. And then one last fun thing that I think is kind of cool about Typeform is once I fill out the form, it will immediately let me use your first name. And so here is some instructions that Gandalf is ready to go for his course. And then, of course, I can plug in a nice video there of me welcoming them. Congratulations, good decision. I truly believe that And I give them a little bit of coaching there to, watch your inbox. Here's exactly what's going to happen next. So rather than jump to another page, a destination page, which is also, valuable, I can kind of keep it all self-contained right here. And it's pretty elegant. And I love that the personalization starts immediately with their first name right there. And I don't need to send out to Drip and bring that back. Typeform does that all by itself, so that's cool. And then if they hit this button, they just head right to my homepage. And that is really the workflow.